Yes, sir. We are live, but I'm live every day. Every day we're live. As Pete Carroll says, everyone's live, right? Raiders practice squad. Micah Parsons not signed still. Let's bring up this Raiders practice squad. People are freaking out that Tommy Mellott didn't make the practice squad. So let's get this practice squad up. They put it out. I don't see it at Raiders.com. So where is it? There it is. The practice squad. Anybody speaking today, Bobby? Not that we're aware of. Vinnie Bonsignor at 10 past 12 and then Levi at 1:05. Okay. I do. And today we're doing Cliff Branch and Tim Brown. Okay, that'll be hour 2. Yes, how's everybody doing in there? How we doing? Let's build that number. 60, 61. It's like a lottery ticket. It goes up, up, up. I've had my youngest son in studio all week, which has been great. He's helping, which is great. And my Yankees are winning, even though I can't watch them on television. I got my Ryder Cup hat on because the Ryder Cup announced their captain's picks, which I'm not a big fan of. Not a big fan of Justin Thomas, JT, making the Ryder Cup. I think that's all bullshit on his past. He's not the player he used to be, though.
Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Modelo is an official cerveza of the Las Vegas Raiders and the JT the Brick Show. Modelo Especial is a rich, full.
All right, let's get this roster going. Good, thank you.
With fighting spirit since 1925. Don't miss the Rich Eisen Show following the morning tailgate. Weekday mornings at 10 here on Raider Nation Radio 920 AM, KRLB Las Vegas. This is Max Crosby, the Las Vegas Raiders. You're listening to JT the Brick on Raider Nation Radio. It's the JT the Brick Show. You know, obviously it means a lot to me being a part of the Silver and Black alone. You know, the history. I've said it a million times. I feel like I was meant to be a Raider. I love being here. Your Silver and Black home to sound off for over 25 years.
It's amazing. Opportunity, great community here, and great fan base. So I'm expecting a lot of fun, a lot of energy, a lot of great times.
It's going to be all about competition, and there's going to be no easy games in our division. And now here's JT the Brick.
Out of the gate, JT, as we're live here in the Raiders practice squad was just announced on the flagship of the Silver and Black, brought to you by PTs as they fuel the monologue, 5 to 7, midnight to 2, the best happy hour in town. A mini monologue brought to you by PTs. Vinnie Bonsignor joins us in 10 minutes. He knows the roster cold, inside and out. Levi Edwards at 1:05. Today is a deep dive into the Raiders roster, their roster and practice squad. Today is the day. We've waited a long time for this day. It's a really important day today. Very important. The Raiders team is set. I'd like to see another corner come in. I would like to see that, and we'll talk to Vinny about it. Aiden O'Connell with the team, not on IR. Maybe they move him. We'll talk about that with Vinnie Bonsignor and Levi coming up here. Kenny Pickett, Amari Cooper. We've hit on that. And some of the players that did not make the team, but did make the practice squad. Alec Bachman, Carter Runyon, Cedric Jackson, Cam Miller. Cam Miller, don't worry, everybody. Cam's with the team. He's the third string quarterback. We didn't want him to, he could not be the second string. We had to get Kenny Pickett. You get that? You couldn't have Cam on the roster. He had to be on the practice roster. If we need him, we can bring him up and develop him. So that's what's happening here. And there's a lot more news that's coming in. So we'll dive all into this today. And what I think everybody should be talking about today, if we can, is welcoming this new roster to Vegas and the Silver and Black, getting your opinion about the roster overall, because you're all diehard fans. You know the roster. And how do you feel about it? What is your gut feel on this roster as it opens up? I feel pretty good about it. I think there's still some holes. I kept mentioning cornerback. I think they need to get a corner. They do. I think they need some depth at that position. They are young. And when you look at 7 of the rookies of the 9 being signed, that's a really big deal. It's a young team. You got a lot of rookies on this team, and that's important because John Spytek drafted them. You don't want to cut your rookies, right? You draft these guys. You use a draft pick. We gave up a 5th rounder to get Kenny Pickett, which I'm okay with. And now we're sitting here looking at this roster, and I think we should all talk about it today. Because over the years, I've told you that I'm not a big practice squad guy. But this is one of the better practice squads the Raiders have had in quite some time. If it was just released a little while ago with Alex Bachman, Chris Collier, the running back, Terrell Edmonds, the safety, Harvey, the defensive end, Cedric Jackson, related to Bo Jackson at wide receiver, Matt Jones at linebacker. I like Matt Jones. Traven Mae, who comes over from Bishop Gorman. I like him at defensive tackle on the practice squad. Cam Miller, the quarterback. Albert O, the tight end, who I thought played well. Carter Runyon, another good tight end, makes the practice squad. Justin Shorter at wide receiver. Laki Tassi, the offensive lineman, of course. Trey Taylor was drafted by this team. Now he's on the practice squad. Greedy Vance, a lot of people are happy he didn't get picked up. He's with the Raiders. Dalton Wagner and JT Woods. So that's a pretty good practice squad. And I think Pete's going to work them pretty hard. I think Pete wants these guys to compete. It's all about competition, Pete. So I think Pete's going to have those guys feeling like they're going to get called up and play. So when we look at this and we try to get through this whole thing and we wonder who's going to be here or not, now we know. So we want your opinion on this team. And I think everybody from knowing Raider Nation as good as I do is pretty good with this roster. I think you're pretty good with it because you understand it's a new regime. It's a brand new regime. And they have a different look at the type of players they wanted. They kept some of your favorite players from the past. They drafted players that they kept. And they have the ability to bring in other players if they can do that, which I think is going to be really important. So I'm in a good mood today. Are you in a good mood? I mean, does this look like a Super Bowl roster? No. It's not a Super Bowl roster yet, but I think it has the cornerstones to be a Super Bowl roster. I think that the roster is set in the next 2 to 3 years, I'm going to say it, to compete for the Super Bowl. Yeah, if you got Brock Bowers and Ashton Genty on your team, you better be telling them you're committing and you're going to go to the Super Bowl. If you got Geno Smith, Ashton Genty, and Brock Bowers and Max Crosby, you better be walking around that building talking Super Bowl in the next year or two. And for those who want to talk about it now, no problem. Okay? We know the odds. Look at the Vegas odds on just getting out of the AFC. Not good. But if you're talking about this team, and I've been around the building, when you talk about this team, we better right now have a core young group of players who could be on a Super Bowl roster. Now, you think I'm nuts for saying that, or do you believe me? I don't think I'm nuts. Go up to Brock Bowers in the locker room and tell him he's never going to win a Super Bowl. Tell me how that goes. Go tell Ashton Genty that in the next 2 to 3 years he's not playing in a Super Bowl. Let me know how that goes. These guys want to win a Super Bowl. You need the core group. You need Pete Carroll and John Spytek building this team out, which I think they're doing. Is it a work in progress? Hell yeah. Look at the secondary. Look at the corners. I didn't think Caillou was going to make the team. He's going to play. Darian Porter's never played in an NFL game. He's going to play. Eric Stokes is cornerback 1. He better play. I like Jeremy Chin, Jamal Adams. I really love the look of Isaiah Palomal. So with all of this happening here, the Raiders are going to put a competitive team out on the field. That's going to put them in games to win. I did a live stream today with my buddy Sam Batesh, former producer of mine, and we did about 45 minutes, and he thinks the Raiders are a playoff team. He thinks the Raiders are going to go from last place to potentially a wild card. I said, yeah, that could happen. I mean, I'm not going to put my neck out and say that the Raiders are going to the playoffs yet, but I think the core is set, and that's about as far as I can go. I don't pick Raider games. I can't. I can't sit here and pick every game. I have to pick 17 wins. What am I going to do? Host a pregame show from the torch and tell you they're going to lose today? Not happening. And I know you want me to do that. I know some of you guys, as they said in Goodfellas, I know some of you guys want me to smash a cup in front of the coach or scream at a player. It doesn't work that way. This is what they give me. This is what I give you. And this is what we talk about. And we got real football coming up after Labor Day. Today, our two alumni that we'll get to next hour are two of the greatest of all time. We're in the top 10 of the greatest Raider all-time draft picks ever drafted by the Raiders. Today, we have Cliff Branch and Tim Brown. We're doubling up. I got a race to Labor Day and next week. I got to get this done. So we got today, tomorrow, Friday, and then we'll have the all-time number one greatest Raider draft pick of all time. And we'll do that in the lead up to the Patriots. I already booked two great Patriot guests. I set up our grid for our insiders. We have 11 insiders who will rotate on this show. 11. Big Boy Radio. Yes, Fluffer. He's in the chat. Big Boy Radio. You can watch the show on YouTube at JT the Brick, YT. You can watch it on Twitter. We figured out how to hit Twitter. We're live on X at JT the Brick. So if you're in your car, you're at a stoplight, I'd like you to focus on the road, but you can have us up on X and listen to the show. It's perfect. I dreamed of someday having a radio show that would have good Wi-Fi and people can watch. And we're doing that now. So that's where we're at. Is anybody freaking out about Tommy Malott not making the practice squad? And Tommy's a good kid, kind of a player that is a gimmicky player at this stage. You know, the Raiders don't have room, you know, for Tommy Malott. And I look at this practice squad, and there's no one better that I could bring on than the two guests I have today. Levi Edwards in the second hour, embedded with the team, and Vinnie Bonsignor, the premier insider that we talk to every Wednesday. All right, Vinnie, before we get to the roster, let's get to the practice squad. Any surprises by you? Because you're really good at predicting the roster and the practice squad. How'd you see it?
Yeah, no, not really. There aren't any surprises. And, you know, Tommy Malott hasn't signed with the Raiders practice squad. I'm not shocked about that. We'll see where that goes. But I just feel like, you know, it might be where he just didn't show enough, you know, as a wide receiver for them to then put him on the practice squad as a wide receiver. You're not going to probably use a practice squad for somebody that you in your mind thinks maybe that they're not going to, you know, turn around as a wide receiver and develop as you like. Maybe they're going to be a special teams player, you know, for the duration of their career. That's probably not a spot that you want to use one of your practice spots for a player. Other than that, you know, they're very happy to get guys like Matt Jones back, Cedric Jackson back. Alex Bachman obviously becomes that veteran wide receiver that you have down there to be able to, you know, spot duty up. Terrell Edmonds, that kind of played out the way we thought. You know, he's going to be that safety that kind of bridges back to Lonnie Johnson. You know, you have 4 opportunities now to bring him up for probably the first 4 games of the season. See where they are with Lonnie Johnson health-wise after that. They'll probably play that role on game days.
What did you think about the Aiden O'Connell designation on the 53, not on IR? If you could explain that to our show.
Yeah, a couple things could be happening. Number one, you know, you get 8 chances. You get eight slots basically that are designated for IR players that you can put on injured reserve and bring back at some point during the season. Above and beyond that, you lose them for the season, right? So of those 8, 2 you can use before your roster is set. Before the 53-man roster is turned in, you can proactively put them on IR. That's what they did with Lonnie Johnson. So they didn't have to carry him on the roster. They were able to put him on IR before the roster was set. He's able to come back after 4 or, you know, at least 4 games. In Aiden's case, I think that they're probably deciding, you know, we don't necessarily have to designate him as a return because they may not need him to return. You know, Kenny Pickett basically has that job now. So what they might be doing is assessing the situation. They can always put him on IR, which I would expect that's going to happen here pretty soon. If they could put him on IR today, tomorrow, whenever they do that, without any designation. You don't have to declare it one way or another upon putting him on IR. And then just now wait to see if they actually do need to bring him back, or if he just stays on IR, he could be a candidate to be waived with a injury distinction, or maybe you hold on to him and see what happens in your own quarterback room. Maybe you do need him at some point. Maybe Geno Smith goes down. Maybe Kenny Pickett goes down. All of a sudden, you need to bring back Aiden O'Connell. And the other, scenario is, traditionally quarterbacks get hurt, unfortunately, in the NFL. There's 31 other teams that could be, could be in line to need a Aiden O'Connell at some point, depending on what happens in their quarterback room. So rather than just waive him, I know I see a lot of fans say just waive Aiden O'Connell. Why would you waive him when you have an opportunity to maybe get something for him if you end up trading him down the road? So I think all of those options are in play. But first and foremost, I just don't think the Raiders wanted to waste or surrender one of those 8 or actually 7, because you already used one on Lonnie. One of those 7 remaining slots open to you that you could put somebody on IR and bring him back at some point during the season.
Vinnie Bonsignor is our guest. Were you good with the 5th round pick for Kenny Pickett? I know you've been putting it out on X a lot, I talked to 2 Brown insiders who told me that he was going to start over Flacco if he didn't have the hamstring injury. They were prepping him in the offseason as the starter for the Cleveland Browns, one of the 32, and the Raiders get him. I think he's a pretty good backup. I don't know what his upside is. We'll see if he gets thrown in, but I think it's a good backup for Geno.
Well, you just gave up a 5th round pick, and by the way, you're going to get a 4th rounder and a 5th rounder at the very least. You might even get a 7th rounder in comp picks for 2026, losing Nate Hobbs and Trayvon Merrick. So you could. It's easier to absorb the loss of the 5th round, knowing you got a 4th and a 5th coming to you before the 2026 draft. And also, I would put this in perspective. They just gave up a 5th round pick for a quarterback who would be the starter right now with the New Orleans Saints. Without question, he would be the starter with the New Orleans Saints. And it's probably 60-40 that he would be the starting quarterback with the Indianapolis Colts. So you got a quarterback that could start on 2 of 32 other NFL teams right now as your backup for a 5th round pick. I think that's fair value for getting a quarterback of that caliber. You hope you never need him, but if you do, I feel like the Raiders feel like they've got somebody that can keep their head above water if called upon to spot start during the course of the season.
Yeah, Vinnie Bonsignor is our guest. So I look at this team. I've been for years. I was calling for a right tackle on cutdowns. I thought the Raiders needed it. I think I was right over the last couple of years. Now they have DJ Glaze, and I backed off of that, but I thought the Raiders would be bringing in a corner. What are you hearing about the process of adding a quality corner from another team? I thought there'd be a spot open for that, or at least they'd be focusing on a starting corner, or at least a cornerback who's in that second group behind the starters.
Yeah, and those are tough to come by. That's a hard position to fill, and to go outside of your building on cut down day, no less, to go find somebody that can fill that bill. The Raiders feel good about their starting cornerbacks. They feel good about Eric Stokes. They feel good about Darian Porter. They feel good about Caillou Blue Kelly. They feel good about Cameron Richardson. For anybody to come in above and beyond that, they're going to have to be, in their eyes, a better option. That's going to be hard to find at this time of year. Also, we don't know who they put claims in for. Remember, they had the 6th spot in terms of the claims. So there could have been anybody from 1 through 5 that put a claim in for a cornerback that maybe they had their eye on and put a claim in for, but just because they were sitting at 6th rather than 4th or 3rd or 5th, another team beat them to the punch. So we'll never know really if they did have their eye on another cornerback or 2. They just weren't in position to be able to win out because there were other teams in front of them that put a claim in before they did.
Vinny, let's talk about the depth of defensive tackle here. It looks like it's Laulu and Butler, and then Pegues, Tonka Hemingway, Snowden. When I look at the depth chart of defensive tackle, even defensive end, behind Malcolm and Max, how tough were these decisions overall? I pretty much felt like Tyree Wilson is clearly going to be here, and this is a prove-it year for him. He's got to prove that he's worth bringing back next year. He's got to pop, and I know that Tonka and J.J. Pegues are highly regarded by Robbie Leonard in that defensive line room.
Yeah, I think Tyree's going to show that he's worth coming back next year. You don't have to make any decision on him in terms of the 4th year. The key will be, do they pick up the 5th year option, which would be the following year. Now, he still may play out next year without them picking up the 5th year option. You could always, re-sign him at some point. That's what happened with Josh Jacobs. You could franchise tag him. There's a lot of different things that you can do even if you don't pick up that fifth-year option. So I think he's going to play well enough this year to for sure come back next year. And the question is, are they going to pick up the fifth-year option, number one? Number two, don't forget Thomas Booker. I think he's a guy that is going to be solidly in that rotation, if not a starter. When you're cutting a guy like Zach Carter, who plays some pretty good football for the Raiders, that tells you right there the depth that they have, that they feel like they have on the interior of the defensive line. They just brought in Brennan Jackson from the Rams. He was a waiver wire pickup, more of an edge rusher. Look, if you're going to look for talent, look at where the Raiders looked to bring in defensive line depth. They went to the Philadelphia Eagles, who always build really good defensive lines. They picked up a player that the Rams picked in the 5th round last year. The Rams always build good defensive lines. They know what they're doing in that building. So they brought in two guys that were, expendable on teams that always have pretty deep defensive lines, edge rushers, defensive tackles. So I think both of those pickups between the last couple of weeks and today add even more depth to a group that I think is sneaky, pretty good. Maybe in a low-key way, and I think that fans are going to realize that this season.
Vinny, one more group of players. I wanted to ask you about the linebackers, Jamal Adams, Tommy Eichenberg, Cody Lindbergh. When you look at the depth behind Roberts and Pratt and Devin White, any surprises there? Because Jamal Adams was brought in for a reason. He proved himself to Pete Carroll that he needed to be here with his workout tapes and really trying to get to this particular team with this particular coach. He made the team. He's got to play big, and I think he's going to be out on the field a bunch. They kind of shut him down at the end of the preseason for the right reasons. I think he's a guy who could be a hybrid and do something very special if they line him up correctly and he's able to find some lightning in a bottle and be young again. How do you see him?
Yeah, well, he's been electric during training camp and end of the preseason. This guy's got a nose for the ball. It feels like he's regained the his explosiveness and his speed. And you're going to see him charging at the quarterback. You're going to see him running into the run game. Are you going to ask him to cover tight ends and people like that? Sometimes he's going to have to, but that's not going to be his game. His game is going to be moving forward. He's going to run fit. He's going to go attack the quarterback. That's what he does. That's what he's going to be on the field to do, and I think he's going to do a pretty good job based on what we've seen in the preseason. He's a guy that, to me, if he stays healthy, could be in line to be one of those comeback player of the year candidates. Because I think he's definitely going to have an impact. I think the Raiders feel really good about those 4 linebackers that you mentioned: Landon Roberts, Devin White, Jermaine Pratt. Yeah, and Jamal Adams. And then you have a guy, Tommy Eichenberg, who I thought looked really good. He looked like a different football player this year compared to last. That happens sometimes. Kids get better. They grow up and they start developing. And I think he'll contribute if needed. And then Cody Lindbergh is a guy that has impressed with his intelligence, his athletic ability, his nose for the football. Might be a year or two before he really hits his stride. But the Raiders now have a little bit of depth in front of him that they can spend a year maybe redshirting him, but developing him for future years.
And Brennan Jackson too, right? Mentioning him.
Yeah, well, and he's an edge guy. He's more of a guy that's going to put his hand in the ground or line up outside and rush the passer. Somebody that, and look, the Raiders have to make a move here. Aiden O'Connell right now is probably the spot, roster spot that he takes. But you don't know. You don't know how that's all going to play out. But he's a guy that's going to be moving forward, pushing the pass, accentuating the pass rush from a rush end spot.
All right, Vinny, last one before we thank your partners. We looked at a whole long off season since the Raiders were eliminated from the playoffs. OTAs coming in for camp. You grinded like never before with radio and everything you're doing on the RJ. Put a bow around this roster. What does Vinny Bonsignor like about this particular 2025 roster and practice squad that gives the Raiders an opportunity to compete for the playoffs?
Yeah, first and foremost, I think this offense is going to score some points. And you add an Amari Cooper to that mix. I think that between Brock Bowers and Ashton Genty and Jacoby Myers and Michael Mayer and Trey Tucker and Amari Cooper and Dante Thornton, there's an explosive element to this Raiders offense that has not been here in the last 2-3 years or so, if not even longer than that. I'm bullish on the offensive line. I think the offensive line is better than people think. So I think this offense is going to be able to score points. You've got one of the best play callers, designers in the game, and Chip Kelly kind of orchestrating that. On defense, I liked what I saw this past preseason game. I thought there were 4 defensive linemen that were making plays out there from the starting unit. And then, a guy like Leke Fotu, who came back and makes a difference. He made the team for a reason. And those linebackers, I feel like the defense is going to be good, but I would be a little bit concerned, if some guys go down with injuries. I think the defense is a little bit of a top-heavy group that they just need to stay as healthy as possible.
Right.
And if that's the case, this defense is going to be pretty good. But I think this offense is going to score a lot of points.
Let's get your partners in before we start the regular season next week with all our coverage.
Yep, absolutely. Lendingstore.com. If you're short a little bit of money and you need it fast, go to lendingstore.com. Have their experts help you find $550,000 as early as tomorrow. And by the way, Local Loca Tequila, check them out at all of Lee's Liquors here in Las Vegas. They carry everything that Local Loca Tequila puts out.
Enjoy the weekend. I'll see you next week. Thank you, Vinny.
All right. Thank you, JT.
All right. Vinny Bonsignor with the deep dive. Phenomenal. We good? Everybody good? We need to be good today, Bobby. We need to be good today. I need all the blanket and moaning. I need all the skeptics. I need to clean out everything. Got to clean out everything. You know how right before school when you're a kid, your mom's like, clean out your dressers, get your school clothes ready, line up your sneakers, wear your clothes you're going to wear on Monday. That's where we're at. We're cleaning everything out. We got the roster, the practice squad. Today's a good day to either sound off like you got up here and complain or get it off your chest and tell me what you think. Today's the day. Summertime radio. I'm mentally going to check out in a day or two, get my Labor Day in, and then come back balls to the wall. Because we're allowed to talk balls. We're sports. Balls to the wall starting on Tuesday. We're off Monday for Labor Day. I'm on Mad Dog that night. And then the schedule begins, and it's going to be insane. And a lot of that's going to be fueled by Grimaldi's, the best pizza I've ever had. Now serving slices. Boca Park, the Grand Canal Shops at the Palazzo. South Rainbow and in Green Valley as you climb up Eastern and try to get through the lights. You climb up Eastern. The deep Henderson, Grimaldi's is on the right. Thanks to Grimaldi's, proud partner of our show. All right, anything I need to see? Any breaking news stuff? Or see, that's one of the things when we have someone like
open into branch like I did yesterday, or
play the open into branch. Yes.
cool.
Violator. Good to see. You better believe it. Violators, Raider royalty. Yeah, there's another shooting today. I'm going to leave that off. We're going to escape from that and stay with sports.
If you could possibly manage the time, please play both sides at one meeting.
What was that? What was that?
That's the beginning of the two.
Oh.
We've had enough. Welcome to Sam and Ash, the new standard for personal injury law, where things are done the right way. With integrity.
No, Tom Brady's not a guest on the show today. It'd be nice, but I only met him once. Covered his entire career.
And when you need help, you deserve a team without hidden agendas. A team that delivers real support and results. When you have both, your whole world can change. So if you've been hurt in a crash, call Sam and Ash, 702-303-0333. Sam and Ash, because you deserve what's right.
Hands up, Aviators fans. Your playoff-bound Aviators are taking on the Iowa Cubs, AAA affiliate of the Chicago Cubs. Tuesday, August 26th, Race to Plata Night. Wednesday, bring your dog to the game. Thursday, $2 beer night from 5:30 to 8 p.m. Friday,
Friday, it's Peanuts Night with a Charlie Brown bobblehead giveaway. Saturday and Sunday, both nights, Bluey and Bingo will be at the ballpark. And there's an Aviators Build-A-Bear giveaway at each game. Aviators Baseball, fun and affordable. Life's just better at Las Vegas Ballpark. Hey, Las Vegas, are you tired
What's going on, everybody? 2181. Yeah, those are two good guys.
Family owned and operated. We treat your home like it's our own. For your everyday plumbing needs, we're here 365 days a year, rain or shine, day or night. Extend the life of your water heater right now. Take advantage of our $89 water heater special.
All right, let's get into the chat. It's time to go to war, Violator. I know Violator. Violator, are you going to the New England game or are you coming for the home opener? I know you're going to be everywhere in Vegas. Violator, are you going, Wayne, I know you're going on the new Raider cruise with me. I wish that Patriot game was like week 6 or 7. I would have went, but week 1, I can't get away. I found out today, because my other son is watching, I found out today I got invited to go to the Ryder Cup. How about that? That's big. Got the Ryder Cup formal invite today. Got to figure out how I got to thread that needle because I can't stay. Raiders play that weekend. They play the Bears at home. But I'm going to try to get to the Ryder Cup for the Thursday round. Got to interview Pete Carroll on Wednesday, wheels up, and get to the Ryder Cup in my hometown where I was born. I was born in Plainview Hospital, but I'm from Massapequa, which is technically Farmingdale, which is where Bethpage Black is. Fabian's going on the cruise again, too. Yes. Better believe it.
September 7th. For more details, get to see a list of participating locations. Visit williamhill.us. Must be 21. Gaming problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Boyd Gaming is the official and exclusive local casino partner of the Las Vegas Raiders and Allegiant Stadium. Bring your friends, have some fun, but always bet on black. Visit their 10 casinos across the valley. Don't let the game get out of hand. Please bet responsibly.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show. Brought to you by PT's, the best happy hour in town, 5 to 7 p.m. and midnight to 2 a.m. Over the next few weeks of summer, JT will look back at the most influential Raiders draft picks in the history of this storied franchise.
With the 13th pick, the Las Vegas Raiders select
the players only drafted by the Raiders who played in the most important games and also had lasting impacts on the NFL.
All right.
Raymond Jets to the tight end, sets up on the right side. He's dangerous down in this territory. Here's Plunkett going to throw. Play action again. For a good fake. He throws long into the end zone. And it is. He went up and caught the ball over the quarterback Young. Grant gets his second touchdown of the day. And he caught the 29-yard pass from Plunkett. Another play action pass, and the ball was pretty underthrown, and that happens a lot of the times, Jeff. Whenever the ball is underthrown, the defensive back is playing the man for man. He doesn't see the ball coming down behind him, and that's exactly what happened on the play. Plunkett has a lot of time to throw the ball, sets up nicely.
Cliff Branch, one of the greatest alumni draft picks of all time. How to be drafted? He was drafted by the Raiders 1972. The 4th round, the 98th pick. Welcome back to the show as we are brought to you by our great friends at M Resort Spa and Casino. Cliff hung out at the M a lot. Cliff Branch was a dear friend of mine. He was born August 1st, 1948. He died August 3rd, 2019. And he's a 3-time Super Bowl champ, a 4-time Pro Bowler, 3-time first-team All-Pro. He led the NFL in receiving touchdowns in 74 and 76. The longest receiving touchdown ever, could never be broken, 99 yards, and in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Played at the University of Colorado, was a track star and a receiver, and one of the greatest people I've ever met. So we bring him up here as we're in the top 10 players ever drafted by the Raiders. Cliff Branch, best friends with Mark Davis. Not friends, best friends with Mark Davis. Mark at one point was representing him. They were just side by side. Whenever I saw Mark, I saw Cliff. Whenever I saw Cliff, I saw Mark for a long period of time. And I was brought into that world with Cliff, and he's come on the show many times when he was alive. And I had the honor of emceeing his Hall of Fame party in Canton, Ohio for his sister and the organization, and is one of the great honors of my life. Cliff Branch, as we point him out today, why do we do this? We're trying to get the young fans in who don't know about the history of the Raiders and the draft. No one on hold today. Imagine if I was a bagel store, Bobby, and I brought out about 1,000 bagels and no one came in to buy one bagel. Would I throw the bagels out? I'm not going to throw the show out. I'm going to still do it in about another hour and 40 minutes. But we got to let people know we're live today. We're not a podcast. A lot of times you turn on a radio station, it's not live, it's a podcast. We're live in Raider Nation, all over the globe, all on YouTube, on the Raiders mobile app, 702-365-9200. No complaints today on the roster or the practice squad. That's a first for me, man. That's a first for me. No complaints. Everybody good. Amari Cooper. We have sound coming up on Amari Cooper, and I didn't get a chance to watch all of it. I saw some of the snippets and sound bites of him, but I'm happy he's back. God, he's a good football player. I talked to a buddy in Buffalo who said he didn't get open much in Buffalo. He lost a step. Well, I don't know. Maybe he lost a step. Maybe he lost half a step, a third of a step. I don't know. I think Amari Cooper is a really good player. So Amari Cooper is the type of guy that I think can come in here and make plays. And I think he's going to fit in nicely because he can do a bunch of things that I think is really important. What he can do is he can come to this organization and have an impact on third down, on first down. I mean, you remember when he played in Oakland, when he was streaking across the field? He was one of my favorite Raiders when it came to slant routes, something that I'm always calling for him, always calling. I'm not calling for the bomb. I'd like to see a deep ball thrown once a game or twice, once a half. I like the deep ball. I love the slant. I love when you line up someone on the left and on the right and you cross them over the middle of the field. And, man, when I was sitting in Oakland with Raider Mort and we were watching the game and Amari Cooper would take off over the middle of the field and catch it on the run, man, was he good. And he did it in Cleveland. He did it in Dallas. He had big games with the Cowboys. So as we sit here and we wonder how much does he have left, he's an NFL football player who is 100% healthy and not injured. So I got to think the Raiders worked him out and looked at him and said, you better believe we can fit this guy in. This guy can have an impact. He talked about Geno Smith, the fact that he's going to get a chance to play with a very good quarterback as he returns to the Raiders.
I'm very excited. It's something about, guys from South Florida, especially him being the quarterback. I think sometimes you just have a great rapport with guys in terms of like timing. Sometimes you could walk into a situation and the timing is automatically there. Today was my first day of practice. Didn't really know if I would practice today, honestly, coming off of a flight. But I'm excited about that, and I think the connection will be there automatically for sure.
He thinks the connection is going to be there with Geno. Why wouldn't he? He's a 5-time Pro Bowler. He's played with Josh Allen. He's played with Dak Prescott. He's played with Derek Carr. When he's open, get him the football. He's a very good player. I didn't expect Amari Cooper to be back. No one had that on their bingo Raider card. No one was walking up to me in casinos saying, when's Amari coming back? He came back because John Spytek, Pete Carroll, and their staff believed he makes the Raiders better. A matter of fact, someone told me this is a really big clue to how badly Pete Carroll wants to win this year. If you don't want to win this year and you want to build this thing up and get Dante Thornton and Jack Bech going, which are going to build it out for next year and the year after. No, they brought in Amari Cooper to win games on third down or fourth down at home or on the road where he's open. I don't think he's going to be double teamed anymore. He was double teamed a lot early in his career. So if you're double teaming Brock and Jacoby Myers, who, yes, I'm assuming is going to be here, crazier things have happened, and you start looking around at these wide receivers, the reason why Amari's so important to me now, he used to be a really big, deep threat. I don't know if he is anymore, but he's a red zone threat. And Dante Thornton, when I called that touchdown of Dante Thornton in the end zone on that back shoulder touchdown, if Dante Thornton could be a red zone threat. A lot of people think Dante Thornton's just going to get the ball on these go routes when the Raiders are on their own 20. No, he proved that he can catch a back shoulder in the end zone. That's going to be important. Imagine the Raiders break the huddle week 1 in New England. Jacoby Myers, Amari Cooper, Dante Thornton, Trey Tucker, and Brock Bowers. Those are the 5 in the route, and Ashton Genty single back set. And Geno can run because everybody's guarding these guys with their head on a swivel going, oh, my God, Trey Tucker's running a go route. We need the safety quickly to get over there because he's running like a track star. Dante Thornton's a track star. He's running a go route on the other side. And underneath, Brock Bowers and Amari Cooper are running slants. Wow, that seems pretty cool to me. More from Amari on Chip Kelly. He's going to have to absorb this playbook, and I know Chip's going to make it easier for him.
I feel good. He's a very dynamic play caller, always has been. It's just my first day here, in the install meeting in terms of the plays that were shown on the board. I already liked what I was seeing, so I'm excited.
Yeah, he's really excited. My criticism of Amari on this show, I can't take back what I said over the decades. He never looked like he was having fun in Oakland. He didn't, but Brock Bowers is all ball. But Brock will crack a smile. Amari Cooper in Oakland, I never saw him smile. I never saw him happy. He just never seemed like he loved it. Yesterday, he was smiling. He was happy to be back. It's amazing what happens at the end of your career when you get an opportunity to continue to stay in the league and come back to a team that you played with before. He talked about what he can bring to the wide receiver room, helping others.
Yeah, just leadership. I've always been the type of guy to lead by example. I do want to work on leading vocally as well because, I believe when you marry the two together, that's the best form of leadership. So, like I said, years go by fast. I'm in year 11 now. You got a couple rookies in the room, so I'll be glad to kind of, show them, a couple of the tricks of the trade because, there are nuances to the game on this level. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, he's a supreme route runner. So was Hunter Renfrow, who was cut by Carolina. Amari Cooper was not cut. He takes a roster spot from the Raiders. So we spent a lot of time yesterday on Kenny Pickett. Today I'm talking about 2 of the greatest receivers of all time. Tim Brown next hour, Cliff Branch this hour. If you have a memory on either one of those two, 702-365-9200. And I am amazed I don't have 9 lines full with people talking about this practice squad and roster. What the hell were we doing here for the last 3 months? I should have went on another cruise. We're talking about who's going to make the practice squad, who's going to make the roster. The Raiders are set. I would like to, by the end of today, add a corner. But I am not in the meetings, and I am not a coach, and I am not an executive. I would like to see a corner, considering the Raiders picked 6 on the waiver wire. I thought that there would be quality corners available for maybe the Raiders to get. That's what I think. I've been wrong so far. I'm not saying that it has to happen because Vinnie joined us earlier, and Vinnie made a good point. They're pretty happy with what they got with Caillou and Darian Porter and the players that they had. So, look, if you're happy with what the Raiders have at corner, I'm okay with it. I'm not thrilled about it because I don't think they have proven guys at cornerback. Stokes can play, but he came here for a reason. I think that Darian Porter is a prospect who could be really good because of his size, looks like Richard Sherman. And then Caillou, who I watched play pretty much every one of his games at Bishop Gorman in high school, I never thought he'd be playing for the Raiders, practice squad or not. He made the team, and he's going to be playing some valuable snaps. That's a good player that proved himself, which is really what football's about, proving yourself. And Caillou's going to probably play a lot on this team. I'm wishing him well. Raiders 66 as we continue on a Wednesday. What's happening?
Hey, JT, how you doing today?
Good, buddy.
Great. I just had to chime in on Cliff Branch because, he was just one of a kind. I mean, Cliff was great. You talked about he was such a great person. He lost basically everything he had in a fire at his home in Santa Rosa. And 2 days later, he's here in Las Vegas helping people from the October 1 shooting. Mm-hmm. I mean, the guy's heart was just as big as ever. But let me tell you a little story his sister told about him when he was in 6th grade. his father, the company his father worked for, had a 4th of July picnic, and one of the highlights was foot race. Anybody could enter the foot race, and the prize was a box of Chinese checkers. Well, little Cliff Branch raced against the older boys, the younger boys, everybody. He beat them all, won them all. That's when he knew, hey, this guy's fast. He could go, and he was so proud of that box of checkers. And he went on to have a career where he could have tried out for the '72 Olympics, and he turned down the opportunity to go play with the Raiders. He liked the family atmosphere of football against the solo competition of racing. And he was just so instrumental. And you know what? If he was drafted nowadays, he probably would have been the ire of social media labeling him as a bust. His first year, he only had 3 catches for about 40 yards, JT. I know you know this.
Yes.
His second year, Bolitnikoff worked with him. The second year, he had less than 20 catches, less than 300 yards. He would have been labeled a bust today, but he stayed with it. Bolitnikoff took him under his wing, and they were out there catching hundreds of balls after practice, hundreds of balls. That third year, he exploded 60 catches for about 1,100 yards, led the league, 13 touchdowns, led the league on his way to a Hall of Fame career. Cliff Branch was inseparable with Mark Davis. I think Alan Carroll basically adopted him as their son. I mean, he was that close with the family. And you just can't say enough about Cliff. He's gone way too early. It is such a terrible thing. But what a great person, what a great player, and what a great Raider. And thank you, JT, for singling him out in your top 10.
Thank you. Thank you, Raider 66. That's why we're doing that. Cliff was a dear friend. He deserves some acknowledgement on the broadcast, on the flagship of the Raiders. And he made a very good point there that Cliff, his first couple of years, really struggled. And Freddie Bolitnikoff had a lot to do with him improving. So did Morris Bradshaw. Morris Bradshaw talked to me about the work that he and Cliff did over the years and everything that they did for him to develop his hands. Jerry Rice came into the league with the drops in San Francisco. He became number 1 all time, the greatest receiver. People forget that Cliff Branch came into the league and he had the drops, but he worked on it, and became great. Really is a true story, great story on Cliff. 702-365-9200. Raider Nation, I got something special for you. I partnered up for another season with Charles Woodson and his Spirit Woodson Whiskey. Order the limited edition Black Hole bottle today at woodsonwhiskey.com. If you use my code JTTheBrick, you get 15% off. I think that's nice. They want to see some volume moved on this show, right? Business. We're open for business here in Vegas, and this show actually does business. We're proud of the business we do. 15% off on the Black Hole bottle of Woodson Bourbon Whiskey. You have got to have 1 or 2 or 6 of these bottles at your bar. When Raider fans come over, you want that Black Hole Woodson Bourbon Whiskey to pour them a glass, pour them a cocktail, give them a 3-fingered shot, have it for your next tailgate, and toast the silver and black. Woodson Whiskey, the official bourbon of Raider Nation and the JT the Brick Show. You better believe that. Happy that we can do that for Charles, and Charles can do that for us. Levi Edwards will join us at the top of the hour as we continue on here. And we're focusing on Tim Brown, who we just had on the air last week. But I have to move this show quickly before the start of the season. We're doing 2-a-days. We're inside the top 10. We started with Reggie Kinlaw and Rod Martin, 2 12th rounders. Today, Cliff Branch and Tim Brown. Who are going to be my remaining greatest Raider draft picks of all time? You'll find out Thursday, Friday, Tuesday, and then I'll have the all-time number 1 greatest draft pick of all time. Oh, yes, prop bets, man. They want you to bet. ESPN.com, ESPN TV want you to bet.
Especially with their app.
Yep, they want you betting. It's not a great app, but they want you betting, man. Thank you, Fluffer. Rashee Rice is a bad guy. A bad guy.
6 games. We play him week 7.
We play him week 7?
Comes off fresh for us.
Check out the chat. You're in there, right? Yes, sir. Modelo time.
With over 70 locations, there is always a PT's Tavern near you. Visit PT'sTavern.com.
Man, I knew Joe Fortenbaugh in San Francisco when he was just starting. I was one of the first guys to put him on the radio.
This is true.
One of the first people to put him on the radio was me, and he's doing really good. Really proud of him. Let Joe Fortenbaugh know if you know him. I'm real proud of him. He's had a nice career, and it's just getting started. Good guy.
He's one of the only guys we could get to come on at 10 o'clock at night before it's
Yeah, man. We're gonna have to get some guys on late at night for the Mad Dog show. We're gonna have to tape and do some stuff.
Okay, this is going to be Stabler Branch coming back.
Good.
Or am I? Do you want me to switch up or just like 1 hour Branch, 1 hour Tim?
Yeah, 1 hour Branch, 1 hour Tim.
Big Yankee Day.
Yanks won. How many homers?
Up 11-1.
Judge have one homer or two?
We scored 11 runs by the fourth inning. And scored 6.
You're about 5 minutes on the other side.
Yep, we got Levi at 105, and then we're open the rest of the way. We got Sam Weish from NFL Network. We'll keep the chat going until about 1:15, 1:30. Smash the like button if you can, if everybody can hit the like button and subscribe. I'd like to get to 8,000 subs here pretty quick. The only way it's going to happen is if we get a new audience. Everybody here is subscribed. We need new subscribers, new. How are we going to get the new ones? Well, hopefully you can tell people about it, and we can do that. Who's that guy? That guy's huge. Is that who that is? Yeah. Is that in Jigba? No. Kenneth Walker's a monster. Man, how big is Kenneth Walker? He's a big guy.
So if you're looking at selling or buying a home, I'd love to be your choice. Call or text for more information, 702-736-3000. I'm also a mortgage banker, so if no one will lend you, I'll lend you. I have a lot of money. Credit restoration, notary, and much more. Call for a free home evaluation, 736-3000. License A143-790, Geneva Financial, 393-995. Accidents happen every day and can be devastating and life-changing. Hi, this is Paul Pata from Whether it's a car accident, motorcycle accident, or slip and fall on commercial premises, if you are injured due to someone else's negligence, our team of expert injury attorneys will focus on you and your case.
Just hit the sub button. Yes, the subscribe button. That's even more important. The subscription button is very important. Thank you, Martin. Or is that? Yes, Martin. Thank you, Martin. Vision is clear. Start going in vertical mode. You'll get new people viewing you. What does that mean? Start going vertical mode. Can you do that on YouTube? Look, Martin said he didn't realize he wasn't subbed. There you go. We got a new sub.
To the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by the Black Hole. Become a member of football's most notorious fans.
Branch to the left, Biletnikoff to the right. Stabler back to pass again from midfield. Throwing a deep bomb, going to Branch against Livers. Livers knocks it down. Branch catches it. Touchdown Raiders. Holy Toledo. What else can happen here on the Lake Michigan Riverfront in Chicago? Livers went up. Looked like he had the interception at the 5. It popped out of his hands, and Branch made the catch and skipped home for 6.
Cliff Branch, top 10 Raider draft pick of all time, the 3-time Super Bowl champion. NFL draft 1972, 4th round. 3 Super Bowls as a 4th round pick. Max Crosby was a 4th round pick. Let's get him 1 Super Bowl. Let's get him 1 and then start talking about Max. Tim Brown will be our featured player next hour as we continue on. So if you want to jump in, 702-365-9200. My head's going to pop next week if we don't have 30 people diving on this show before the Patriot game. Just warning everybody, Bobby, next week this thing better advance quickly as we got through the summer. When this thing flips to September, that means summertime radio's over. and we get ready for the Patriots. I've been watching the Patriots. We got a couple of good guests from the Patriots coming on next week. We're off Monday for Labor Day, and then we got Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. My first interview with the head coach, Pete Carroll. Excited about that. My first TV show with Eric Allen. My first pregame show with Eric Allen. And my first postgame show with Lincoln Kennedy. So that's going to be exciting. And every Wednesday, we'll be at the Raiders headquarters live on YouTube from noon to 1 Pacific, 3 to 4 Eastern. That will be YouTube. The broadcast will be live on Raider Nation Radio, but the Raiders will take over the show. Paul Gutierrez will have players and guests, maybe the coach. If Pete Carroll can only do it in that window, we'll do Pete Carroll live. We'll do it live. We'll see. If not, we'll do Pete Carroll earlier in the day. And then we'll preview the team that we play. So that's pretty easy for the Patriots. We'll preview the Patriots, and then the following week we'll preview the Chargers. I can't imagine what it's going to be like when the Raiders beat the Patriots, come home with an extra day off for the Chargers. That'll be cool. And if the Raiders don't beat the Patriots and have an extra day off to prepare for the Chargers, that Charger game is going to be massive. Massive. And I think the Raiders should beat the Patriots. They were better than the Patriots the last couple of times they played them. I think the roster on the Patriots has improved. I think the Raiders roster improved. And if I can't sit here and tell you that the Raiders should beat the Patriots, I got nothing. I don't know if they're going to win the game, but they have to go in there and be in that game on the road and find a way to put it away. That's it. And if they can do that, I think we'll talk about the Raiders being 1-0, and the rest of the country will be looking at the Raiders right out of the gate as an undefeated 1-0 team, and the coverage will drastically increase. And I don't think that Pete Carroll is going to be sitting here freaking out over one game, win or lose. I know how badly he's going to want to win it. He's going to want to win it badly, but that game is important. That's a winnable road game. Every game's winnable, but the game at the Commanders, the game at the Eagles, the game at Kansas City, the game at Denver, they're more difficult. Jeff in Rhode Island. Thanks for checking in, Jeff. Thanks for calling today. What do you got? Hello, Jeff.
No, I didn't want to come on just yet.
Well, you're on the radio, dude. Well, I'm doing a radio show. You want to call or do you want me to hang up? What do you want to do?
No. I'll stay on. I'm actually the chapter president for the Black Hole chapter.
Yo, wow, that's a big deal. So fill us in on what you're doing with the Black Hole for the Patriot game.
I was trying to get a time slot so I could come on and just lay everything out. I'm not ready for a whole.
Well, I mean, I got a minute or two to tell us where it is. Where's the tailgate? Where's the bar scene? Let's go.
All right. So on Saturday, we've got a long day set up on Saturday.
Okay.
We're going to be going to Brockton, actually. They're having a memorial to Al Davis.
Yes.
An unveiling.
Yep.
So we're going to Brockton. There's a bus that we've got set up that's leaving from Blake's Tavern in downtown Providence.
Okay.
It's leaving at 1 o'clock, going to Brockton for the 3 o'clock ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
And when the ceremony's over, now I know Mark Davis is supposed to be there also.
Yes.
When the ceremony is over, we're all getting on the bus, going to the house that Al Davis was born in, and we're going to take a big group photo of all the Black Hole members that show up that day in front of the house. And then we're going back to Providence to Blake's Tavern.
Okay, so Blake's Tavern.
On Washington Street in Providence, Rhode Island.
Okay.
From 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. is our pregame party show, our blackout party.
Blackout party at Blake's Tavern, 5 to 9, if not later. And then what do you got lined up on Sunday?
On Sunday, we have tailgate at lot 55B.
Okay.
It's being hosted by the Black Hole and Raiders Against the World.
Wow.
And it's a completely free tailgate. There's no cost. We're only asking for donations to the chapter to help cover some of the costs, but everything's completely free. We've got Modelo as a sponsor.
Wow.
Over
Look
there,
at you.
as usual.
Great.
Yep. And we've got Modelo giveaways and such for the Saturday night party. And whatever's not going that night, we're bringing with us on Sunday. And it's same thing. We'll give the stuff away. We've got raffles set up Saturday night.
Okay.
Again, it's a free of charge party to get in the door. It's a closed, open to only Raider Nation.
I love that. Love that. Right there. So do me a favor. Send me the social media. Please get me. I collect Raider Booster Club shirts. So get me an XL shirt, please, from the Black Hole there from your chapter. I'd love to wear it as I host the show. I'd greatly appreciate that.
I will definitely send you one. We don't have any just yet.
Okay, I'm sure.
We are going to be getting them.
I'm sure you will. And then reach out next week one more time. Call back next week, and we'll really blow this up on Thursday or Friday, Jeff.
Okay, not a problem.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it. Jeff from Rhode Island's got you covered if you're going to that game. That is the party. Modelo and Black Hole. It'll be at Blake's Tavern on Saturday night, 5 to 9 p.m. They're going to the Al Davis home where he was born. I know Sandra Douglas Morgan, Mark Davis will be there. It's a big deal. Huge deal for the Raiders. And then they have lot 55B in dreaded New England Patriot parking lot. Gillette parking lot 55B, home of Raider Nation. See, we need to do more of that. We need to hear about your tailgate parties, when you're getting together, home and on the road. Hour number 2, Levi Edwards next with a really good roster breakdown. You don't want to miss it.
He's from Rhode Island.
Yeah. It was interesting. He's like, I don't want to come on. I'm like, well, you got to come on, dude. That's, you called in. You got to come on. Like, that's the way this thing works. But he was good. I appreciate him.
All right, Levi at 105. I'll be back in a minute.
Okay. Colorado plays Arizona State on the 22nd.
ASU's 11th in the country, man.
You play the game. Patty Davidson here from BetMoneyHoney.com. Have you ever felt like the odd man out at a friend's house watching the game? After years in the sports betting industry, I can teach you the rules of different sporting events so you can now be part of that crowd of cheering fans with an understanding.
All right. Let's see.
How to place a bet on a game, which will completely change your perspective because you too can be a winner. Join me at BetMoneyHoney.com. That's BetMoneyHoney.com.
Are you purchasing or leasing a new vehicle and need some extra cash for a down payment? Dollar Loan Center has you covered.
All right, what's happening in the chat? Anyone that's coming to New England for week 1, you just heard all that. Raider Nation, I'll take a W anytime. Texas, Ohio State, then LSU, Clemson, Big D. I agree. Any breaking news in the NFL? Any breaking news that I need to know about? I tell you, Raider Nation is effing dead today on this practice squad, which I give myself credit because I tell you, I don't do practice squad crap. I like these guys on the practice squad. I think they're great. I want them to do great things. But you can't do a radio show on the practice squad, right? You can't. You'd be out of business if you did. So my bad for trying to talk about the practice squad today. I'm going to talk more national stuff. Rashee Rice, 6-game suspension. He comes back. He comes back for the Raider game. Belichick names Transfer Lopez as quarterback number 1. Oh, the Patriots claim Tommy DeVito as their quarterback. Tommy Chicken Parm is going to the Patriots. Wow. Cutler gets 4-day sentence for DUI. Who is that? Which Cutler is that? Jay Cutler. Wow. Jay Cutler, another example. Don't drink and drive, especially if you have money. Don't drink and drive ever. Tommy DeVito with the shady agent.
Fresh Rashee Rice playing against us.
Snow Raider, I am a chicken parm expert. I have to admit, my young son's here. He likes chicken parm too. Whenever I go to an Italian restaurant, I order chicken parm first time. I don't want to see your menu. I'm a big guy that doesn't want to look at menus in an Italian restaurant.
Prescription medications for COVID exist. If you test positive this summer, ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit
Levi coming up.
Sponsored by Pfizer.
This season, get in the game with the William Hill Pro Pick'em football.
I'll ask him if he wants to call from a landline. Or... Okay. Hey, by the way, can you get some of the play-by-play that I did in the game? Like the max sack to start off the game?
Oh, yeah, go.
I want to hear a couple of good ones and send to my other son so he can make a reel out of it.
I got all 3 game sheets right here. You pick up which ones you want. I'll take care.
Chicken parm in Vegas? Piero's.
To the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by Modelo Especial, the new #1 beer in the U.S.
Las Vegas Raiders football.
For the silver and black, the starter's out there as Locke's looking left out of the shotgun. Pressure on him, throws it out to the corner. Intercepted by the Raiders. Looking right the whole way to Lobby. Lobby gets it to the corner of the end zone. Touchdown, Las Vegas Raiders. Dylan Lobby, hands looking right, pump face. He's going to go deep down the sideline. That'll be a touchdown. Cedric Jackson for the Las Vegas Raiders. Hand came through, looked off the coverage, hit him coming down the sideline. Chino in the shotgun, looking left and then back right to Dante to a corner fade. He catches it at the end. Touchdown, Las Vegas Raiders. Dante Thornton right on the back shoulder, and the Raiders are on the board.
Here's your host, JT the Brick.
Nice. Bobby getting a open with my touchdown calls and some of the calls that I was fortunate enough to do in the preseason. Levi Edwards will join us coming up here in a moment. Stick around for that. So Vinnie joined us the first hour, Vinnie Bonsignor, and he did a deep dive on the roster. Levi will join us next. Also, Sam Weish from NFL Network, a good friend of the show at the bottom of the hour. And that's it. And then this hour, we're featuring Tim Brown. First hour was Cliff Branch. Got a couple of calls on Cliff. This is Tim Brown's day as we look back at the greatest Raider draft picks of all time. Tim Brown coming up in a moment here. If you're looking at the Raiders practice squad and you're saying who's on it, Alex Bachman had a really good camp. He's a wide receiver who I think will play this year. They'll call him up at some point. I expect him to play. Chris Collier, the running back's a good player. Terrell Edmonds, as Vinny pointed out, the safety, there's an opportunity for him to get in there. If they designate someone to IR, maybe he gets called up to the regular squad. Cedric Jackson, I thought, played well, and Matt Jones, the linebacker. Albert O, the tight end, practice squad. He wasn't claimed. Trey Taylor, the safety, won the Jim Thorpe Award, and we drafted him. I don't want to say he hasn't panned out. He's on the practice squad. Greedy Vance goes to the practice squad. J.T. Woods and Dalton Wagner. And for the starters and the depth of this team going forward, I think all Raider Nation is pretty good with what we have with the depth on this team. Jonah Laulu at defensive tackle with Adam Butler. We got Max Crosby at one defensive end, Malcolm Kuntz at the other. Your linebackers will be Jermaine Pratt, Landon Roberts, and Devin White. All three of those players are good players, been around the block. Slot corner, Darnay Holmes. He's a cornerback. Caillou Blue Kelly. Cornerback, Darian Porter. DeCamerion Richardson. Eric Stokes. Eric Stokes is going to start. Your safeties, Isaiah Palomalu and Jeremy Chin.
Yep.
The backups will be Christopher Smith II, Harper. If you look at the depth of that, Edmonds on the practice squad. Special teams, I think, is really good. Cole and Carlson, we know what they can do. And on the offensive side, Jacoby Myers, who wants new money, is the right to say whatever he wants. Trey Tucker, Jack Besh, Geno Smith at quarterback with, I think, Kenny Pickett, who's a good backup. Aiden O'Connell still on the roster. Cam Miller is on the practice squad. Ashton Genty, Zamir White, Raheem Mostert. Nice job in that room. Dylan Lobby, also on top of that. Jackson Powers Johnson at right guard. Alex Kappa backing him up for now. DJ Glaze and Thayer Mumford are your right tackles. Your centers, Jordan Meredith with Will Putnam behind him. Left guard, Dylan Parham. Caleb Rogers, who's a draft pick. Charles Grant at left tackle behind Colt Miller. And wide receivers, Dante Thornton. I like this team. I think this is a good team overall. And overall, are there any big surprises? Tommy Mellott didn't make the practice squad. I mean, I think Tommy's a developmental player in this league. He wasn't going to be a wide receiver on this team. He wasn't good enough to get on the practice squad as they took Alec Bachman. They took Cedric Jackson. Justin Shorter, you could debate Justin Shorter, but that's where they went. So that's where we're at today. Love to get your opinion. Hour number 2 brought to you by La Casa Cigars and Lounge at Tivoli Village. Great friend of mine went last night for a stick, loved it. And I told him you didn't see anything yet. It's not done. They opened. It's kind of a soft opening, but it's open, which is great. People are flooding the place, but wait till you see what Mike did in the back in the VIP room. So if you get a chance, go support La Casa Cigars and Lounge at Tivoli Village and get ready to have a cigar that looks out on Rampart and the JW Marriott. They're going to have a view that they didn't have at their last location, which was right next door. But they're going to have an outdoor area that's going to be fantastic, and that is 7 days a week. They'll have live music. Rashee Rice of the Chiefs is suspended for the first 6 games of the season. You know what game 7 is? The Raiders. He'll be back for the Raider game. But Rashee Rice is a good player. He's a deep threat for them. He could do a lot. The Patriots. We play the Patriots week 1. They got Tommy Lasagna, Tommy Chicken Cutlet Parm, Tommy DeVito is now a Patriot. How about that? They released Kendrick Bourne to bring in Tommy DeVito. Wow. What they see in Tommy DeVito. It's a nice move. Tommy DeVito lands with the New England Patriots coming from the New York Giants. And then some of the other moves that are out there, Kenny Pickett coming to the Raiders and Amari Cooper. I don't feel like we welcomed Amari Cooper back. Do you? I feel like we have not welcomed back Amari Cooper. Let's try to do that in the final hour of the show. And there is news on Raiders minority owner Tom Brady. He's going to get more access now to every team because the first year they didn't give him any. He wasn't allowed to be in those production meetings. The NFL is relaxing some of its restrictions surrounding Tom Brady in his role as Fox broadcaster, including allowing Tom to attend production meetings this season. The source said that Brady, who's also a partial owner, as we said with the Raiders, will have to attend the production meetings when a broadcast crew meets with the game's head coach and key players remotely, and that he will still not be allowed to attend practices at the team facility. But, Tom Brady would be allowed to interview players off-site, the source said. And he's got to obviously prepare harder than anybody. As a player, he did. As an owner, minority owner, he is. As a businessman, and clearly he'll be ready to go for the Fox broadcast team. Really looking forward to this conversation with Levi Edwards from our digital team. And Levi, perfect job. Good column you put out yesterday that I retweeted. Let's start first with the practice squad before we get to the 53. Any surprises for you? How do you feel about the practice squad?
I feel good about the practice squad. No real surprises, and sometimes no surprises is good. Sometimes people are expecting for something drastic to happen, and then when everything goes according to plan, they don't know how to react. So I think you can say that for the 53-man roster and for the practice squad. We were able to retain a lot of guys that were able to prove themselves throughout training camp and the preseason. I look at a Greedy Vance, you were able to get back. You even look at Laki Tassi, the international pathway player that you get back. You get Cam Miller, who showed some glimpse of being a really good quarterback potentially, and you get him back as well. Cedric Jackson, you have Bo Jackson's great nephew on your team on the practice squad. So you have a lot of good players who are going to be able to develop, and hopefully when their time does come, if it does ever come, then they'll be able to shine.
A lot of people are asking about Tommy Mellott. You were at every practice. What'd you see with his development? Why was he not a practice squad player?
Well, really, when it came down to it, it's such a drastic position change to make.
Yeah.
And obviously he was a quarterback in Montana State, so you have to start off with the fact that he was a quarterback at, I'm not trying to knock FCS schools. I'm not an FCS guy. I love Division I, II. I come from a Division I, II school, or AA school. My apologies. So I'm not trying to knock it at all. But he came from the school that he came from, and he made the switch of positions. And obviously they want to make it a situation where he was going to be a special teams impact player. And he did enough, but obviously when you look at the other guys who were retained, like a Dylan Laube, Trey Tucker, even Chris Collier, who's now on the practice squad as well. I feel a lot of those guys were able to beat him out in special teams, and then he didn't really have the effect that you would really necessarily want to see from him as a receiver yet with being able to develop. And granted, this is going to be a long season. All of these seasons are pretty long, so who's to say that Tommy Malot's not back on this team one day in some form or capacity? It's still really early in his journey. Things are just getting started. So just because he's not on the practice squad today doesn't mean he might not be on the practice squad tomorrow or next week or next month. So that's something to also take note of.
Levi Edwards is our guest. So let's get to the 53. And as you reported on the rookies, how many rookies made the team, which I think is a tip of the cap to John Spytek. You draft these rookies. You want them on the team. You don't want to waste a draft pick. I thought the Raiders excelled at that.
Absolutely, especially considering you have 11 draft picks. So you're bringing in a lot of guys already with 11 draft picks, and 9 of them make it. And I think there's a certain philosophy within most locker rooms or front offices where you have to get with the politics of making sure that your rookies make the 53-man roster because you have to give them a shot. So I think there's a lot of GMs who, despite however they performed in training camp or in the preseason, they're like, okay, we need to give our pick a shot. We just invest in this person, so they're going to be on the team no matter what. With 11 picks, you can't do that. The best of your draft class, no matter where they were picked with 11 picks, they got to be on the team. So for 9 to make it is also impressive, but not just the 9 who made it, but all 9 who did make it at some point could potentially make a significant impact for the team. Yeah. Where you start with Ashton Genty, he's going to be a starter. Dante Thornton Jr. is going to be a starter. Jack Bech could potentially at some point become a starter, as slot receiver, if that opens up at some point. You have Darian Porter, who might be a starter week 1. Taka Hemingway, who Max Crosby said is going to play a pivotal role within the defensive line rotation. And then Grant and Caleb Rogers, those are 2 guys, if anything happens and injuries come about, they're going to go in and they're going to play. Cody Lindenberg, he's going to be a huge guy on special teams. He's going to have a big role from the jump just in that area of the game alone. So you're bringing in all of these guys who aren't just going to be on the team just to be on the team. They're going to have an impact in some way, form, or fashion in their rookie year.
Levi Edwards joins us. So before I get back to the 53, I wanted to ask you about 2 players that were just brought in. First, Kenny Pickett. You did a fast facts, get to know Kenny Pickett. I talked to a couple of insiders who told me that he was penciled in to start before the hamstring injury. People take shots at backup quarterbacks all the time. They find the wart on Lincoln's nose. They don't look at the upside of the backup quarterback. They just think of him, oh, my God, in a case of emergency. As you dug down into the history of Kenny Pickett, what'd you find?
He's a winner. That's first and foremost, is he's a winner. He has a 15-10 record as a starting quarterback. He has played for 2 teams that are very competent and very successful in the way they do things, very gritty organizations that aren't going to slack around. You have to go in. You got to earn your job every day. And so just to have that foundation as a young player in the league, that's huge. That's massive because you have a lot of young guys that go into bad situations and they pick up bad habits. You're not picking up bad habits with the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Philadelphia Eagles. And then even before that, he took a Pittsburgh team. I can't remember the last time Pitt football was as relevant as it was with Kenny Pickett, where he took that school, he took that program, made them 11-2. They won the ACC championship for the first time in years, went to a Peach Bowl. He was 3rd in Heisman voting. So he did that at Pitt, and he was stellar. He was one of the better college quarterbacks I've seen in a while in that year that he had with them. So when I look at Kenny Pickett, despite, all the other things people want to talk about, small hands or any of the metrics and kind of some of the decision-making and things of that nature, what I see first and foremost when I look at Kenny Pickett's track record is he's a winner, and he comes from winning organizations. And I think that's going to play a huge part in the locker room here, even as a backup.
Levi Edwards is our guest from the digital team, the great reporter. Find all his work at Raiders.com. Okay, tell me about Amari Cooper, because someone's getting less targets. Fact, not fiction. Amari's a target guy. You throw him the ball. You didn't bring him in here to be a decoy. He's a hell of a player. So people are saying, what about the development of Jack Bech? He's a rookie. He's here long-term. Dante Thornton, who's flashed at times. What are you sensing with the role that could be coming with Amari Cooper as he comes back for his second tour with the Raiders?
I think he's going to have a sneaky role, especially considering that he straight up said everything you just said, JT, yesterday. Is people asked him, okay, why did you sign with the Raiders? Why did you want to come back? And he said two reasons. He said he wanted to go somewhere where he could win. And he also wanted to go somewhere that had faith in him to put him on the field. Because I think we're now at a stage in Amari Cooper's career where there's a lot of teams and a lot of people feel like he cannot produce at the same way that he had previously had, just because he had one bad year where he had inconsistent quarterback play in Cleveland, and then he got traded in the middle of the year to Buffalo and had to adjust to a new system and kind of becoming an afterthought in that offense that was already established. But people forget 2 years ago in 2023, he had 1,250 receiving yards, 5 touchdowns. He was the number one option in Cleveland. He was the number one option in Cleveland last year. So what you just said, JT, I love is he's not going to come here and be a decoy. He's going to come in and he's going to get targets. And I see him having kind of a sneaky Nelson Aguilar season, kind of like in 2020 during that COVID season that Nelson had, where people weren't necessarily thinking about him being a main target the way that he ended up becoming. But I can see that happening for Amari Cooper because he's a vet. He's proven to be really good in this league. And I think that that's a really good person to have in a room that's very young with 2 rookies and Trey Tucker, who's a 3rd, 4-year player. So you need that vet guy in the room like that. So not only will he help the receiver room, he should help the offense, in my opinion.
All right, Levi, it was a long camp. You were there for all of it. Give us, I told the same thing to Vinnie earlier. Put a bow on this roster. What do you like about it? What's work in progress? What do Raider fans have to look forward to as Pete Carroll finally has his 53, which could change a little bit? There could be, Aiden going to IR, whatever's going to happen. I'm hoping for another corner coming in. But overall, how confident are you with this roster and the practice squad?
I feel really good. Really, when I guess the blessing and the curse, if we could just kind of talk about it, and when I look at this roster and this team, is I definitely think the coaching staff is going to do a great job. They're going to put their players in advantageous situations. So my positive, I believe, is that our first unit on both sides of the ball and special teams, I think our first unit is really good. Mm-hmm. I think when you have Geno out there, when you have Brock out there, Mike Mayer, Ashton Genty, that starting offensive line, I think that's great. Same thing with on the defensive side of the ball, where you have a little bit of depth in the defensive line room. You have some veteran linebackers who are really going to come in and set the tone. So you have a really good first unit on both offense and defense. The thing that I am a little concerned with is just the depth of the team, where if you do not have your first unit out there and then injuries start to rack up,
yes,
and then you have to have other people step up, what are they capable of? How much can they contribute? And that's just a huge question mark right now with that second unit, where you don't have necessarily a whole lot of veteran guys on this team who's like, okay, well, if Devin White goes down, then you have so-and-so in place to come and step up. You're going to be depending on a Tommy Eichenberg. You're going to be depending on a Cody Lindbergh. These are first, second-year players. Same thing with the secondary. Very young secondary if guys start going out. Defensive line, same way there. There's a lot of areas where you don't necessarily know what you're getting if your starting units are not out there and your starting players are not out there. So I don't really want to say that's a negative, but I definitely would say it's a concern within the depth of not necessarily knowing what you're getting outside of what you know you're getting. So definitely a blessing and a curse for sure.
Yeah.
But it's the NFL. These guys have to play at some point.
You got it. I think that's the exact thing I'm saying that you just said. That's why we like your differing opinion. We agree on a lot of stuff. And when it comes to this roster, they got to stay healthy. They are top heavy. They do not have a lot of depth. They're young. Some rosters are older, some are younger. This is a young roster, 7 rookies. The rookies that made the team are going to have to play. And I think some of those practice squad guys are going to play. I know there's no time off, but enjoy this last weekend before the games really count, and we'll talk to you throughout the year, Levi.
You don't have to tell me twice, JT. You know I'm going to enjoy it.
You got it. There he is, Levi Edwards. Go follow it. He has the fun facts on Kenny Pickett, and he did a deep dive on that, said he's a winner. Kenny Pickett's now the quarterback for the Raider Nation, the backup. You better hope he's good. You better hope he can play. Because if Geno gets dinged and we need Geno's in the blue tent for whatever reason, you want Pickett to come out there attacking. You don't want him handing the ball off and going, let's get him off the field. That would have been Cam Miller. Cam Miller's too young. He's too young of a player to be a second quarterback. He might get thrown into the fire if there's an injury. But Cam Miller, it wasn't going to be Geno into Cam Miller, who's now on the practice squad. We had to go get Kenny Pickett and give up a 5th-round pick for him. I'm all right with that. That's what it cost. You want to go buy a car, you want to go buy a house, you want to go buy something nice, a watch, it's going to cost you money. You're not getting it for free. Raiders had to go out and give up a 5th-round pick for it. We're brought to you by Modelo, the official cerveza of the Raiders and the official beer of fans with the fighting spirit. Modelo, rooted in the heart of Raider Nation. Drink responsibly. Imported by Crown Imports, Chicago, Illinois. Modelo, proud partner of our show. So we got a couple of big ones that we're going to announce, new partners that start next week on top of the existing one we bring back. I'm very proud of that. I'm proud of the business that we run here on top of the show. We don't have a show. We don't have a radio show without our partners. This isn't a project. This isn't a podcast. We need to make money and make money for our partners. That's why when I mention them, I hope you can mention them too and go support them because they support us and this channel. Steve Weiss is going to join us from NFL Network. I saw him in Canton, Ohio at Eric Allen's induction. He was the MC of the Gold Jacket, so that'll be a lot of fun. Eric Allen's in town, and a couple other people are in town for this week, and then the Raiders are on the road at New England. Thanks to all the bricklayers, everybody who's been there. Please subscribe for free at JT the Brick YT. We love the video element and the chat that we have now with the show. Thank you.
It's the morning tailgate.
See everybody. Thanks a lot. Thanks for an hour and 25 minutes, man. Thank you for that. Please subscribe and share. I'm off, Bobby. Yes.